2023 has had its ups and downs, but today we're going to focus on the ups, baby. The top 10 most banger moments, the most banger things to happen in Marvel Future Fight in this year. Kicking it off with number 10, the sneak peeks. I've got to say, something I never expected to get better and better and better were the sneak peeks. And yet here we are. We saw some of the most insane, amazing renders, cinematics, the cinematography, the voice acting, the music, the storytelling. Really, this could almost be a meta game in and of itself. The devs, the sneak peek team, absolutely crushed it. We went all the way back to Spider-Man, but do you guys remember the Asgardian one? It was amazing. Do you guys remember? Do you remember Strife with Cable and Omega Red? It was insane. There was so much juice, baby. And then do you remember the October update? Okay, the sound is killing me here, but do you remember Booba with Dr. Voodoo and Sister Grimm? Like this sneak peek was wild, bro. They killed it all year long. And remember, 2023 showed up after they dropped that insane movie for Dark Phoenix. That was how we ended 2022. So they had a really lofty goal to aim for, and in my opinion, they absolutely crushed it. I'm not even mentioning the best one of all, most recently, where we got basically the Dark Knight, What If Marvel, with Sin as the Joker, and Ghost Rider coming up in his pseudo Batmobile. So huge shout out to the sneak peek team. Absolutely love it. Has made the game so much more hype. And yeah, I hope they continue to get all the resources and time that they need and recognition that they deserve, because they have just been absolutely killing it for us. Coming in at number 9, we have the Sword system. Now, say what you will about this system, but it does, in my opinion, balance the value that you get with a sort of steady grind mentality, where if you just chip away at it day by day, week by week, month by month, and you grind Otherworld Battle, even if you don't win all of your battles, you're going to accumulate enough sword materials to be able to enhance and enchant and get a lot of extra free stats. Further than that, there's a place for whales to play, and there's a place for whales to support the game and the systems more by spending money, but it doesn't allow whales, and it never allowed whales, to tap into a lot of power very, very quickly. And the easiest way to compare how good this system is to a system that's actually really bad and not in the top 10 at all is the Team Up Collection. The Team Up Collection is much worse for free-to-plays and much better for whales, which just by default, it makes it so much worse. But yeah, I think the Xof Sword systems was really well thought out, really well balanced, and actually has a lot of nuance to it once you get into the nitty-gritty and you start looking at some of these stats in yellow that are rolled, and you start looking at the potential for changing options. You can actually min-max to a very high degree and end up with an identical sword set to someone else, but much better stats. So I think it's a really well thought out system. It's very cool thematically, and I think they actually nailed it, especially when you compare it to how bad the Team Up Collection is. Coming in at number 8, I wish I was holding a mirror, because it's actually you guys, the MFF community. Call this a cheesy one or maybe a sort of emotional tactic here, but I think the game wouldn't be nearly as, I don't think the game wouldn't be nearly as fun as it is if it weren't for all of you in the community, whether you're on Twitter, whether you're on Discord, whether you're online or anywhere else. Even if I've never interacted with you before, thanks for playing, and thanks for making this game so special. Coming in at number 7, a video I dropped 10 months ago. They finally cooked, and look at that face up there. I was 100% correct. Event World Boss introduced this year was absolutely amazing. Really good to onboard newer players into a system that's going to mirror World Boss Legends super accurately. And it ends up with some solid tier 3 rewards and then an Odin's Blessings chest at the end. It only costs a little bit of energy to compete each day. It's very, very accessible. You can play with almost anybody that you want. And best of all, you get additional rewards when you complete it that include a large chunk of gold. And any new events that give you gold as a reward are absolutely fantastic. I love them doing this because, again, it's sort of taking an existing piece of content and filtering it down, or sort of like simplifying it to give players like a breadcrumbing or a stepping stone so that they can jump into World Boss Legend faster and with more familiarity. 4 months ago, I dropped a video shocked at the best change in years, taking the old formula of timeline survival from years ago, and instead of just removing the game mode like they did for Danger Room or stuff like that, they actually transformed it into a 5-day event that we get at the beginning of every update. I really like this. I like it so much that I almost wish they would do it every 2 weeks and we could just have it rotating in and out. I love the board style. I love the way that you navigate. I love the changes they made where it doesn't cost energy anymore. It doesn't take boost points anymore. I think the rewards are still a little bit inconsistent, and that's something that they can address with better rewards at the end. But I still think that it's a really fun game mode, and I still think it has a lot of room for sort of interpretation and kind of like meta crafting because of the fact that transcended characters appear to do better because they can just burst down enemies with worse builds just because they have access to their tier 3 skill, their transcended skill right away. So I do like that. Not the perfect game mode by any means, but certainly a really big step in the right direction, and it shows that the devs still care about the existing content that they make rather than just saying, hey, this isn't popular anymore, so we're going to scrap it. So I do hope that other game modes in the future that aren't doing too well get a sort of revamp like Timeline Survival, and I hope that they continue iterating on Timeline Survival, that they add maybe new difficulties for tier 4s only and stuff like that, because I think it's a really nice base formula. Kicking off the top 5 for the best bangers of 2023 in Marvel Future Fight, I gotta give a shout out to your boy Man-Thing, the first truly free character since Cersei back in 2021. And I say that knowing that some of you will get on my case about Gore and Kang, but really, truly, Ant-Man is the first character of his kind since 2021, and that is a massive, massive upgrade over the Battle Pass premium characters or the token premium characters like Omega Red and Sylvie and Red She-Hulk and stuff that we've seen over the years. There was a time long ago where we would get 3 or 4 Man-Things per update. That time has passed. There's just so many characters in bioselectors now, it just doesn't make sense, and there's way too much value that they have to really add any more of them. But it's really nice to see every once in a while, and in this case it happened this year, that they add one character to this list. So I'm really happy for Man-Thing. I also think he's like a really cool character. I hope he gets a uniform. I hope he stays, you know, somewhat relevant in the meta. They don't forget about him like they've done for like Singularity and stuff, because I think he's super duper cool. And I loved him in Werewolf by Night, so he has MCU presence, which is great. But yeah, I'm just happy to see that the devs haven't forgotten what made this game so good in the beginning, and that was bioselectors. This next one wasn't even my opinion until just weeks ago. I did a really fun interview with Death Proof, and it's over on his channel. You should absolutely watch it. It's a long interview. We talk about all sorts of stuff from, you know, real life to games to Marvel Future Fight to other games. And in that interview, he essentially posed to me the idea that the tier 4 balancing has been really good. And at first I was like, no, I don't agree with you. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized, you know what? Nikos is right. The tier 4 balancing is really good. Sure, there are some standout characters that are just absurdly good, like Jean. And then, sure, there are some characters who are kind of absurdly bad or weak or sort of useless, like Ant-Man. But otherwise, by and large, the balancing has been very, very good. And despite the fact that we have so many characters of the same typing, take, for example, Combat, you can sort of see the niche for all of them, right? Hulk and Carnage are clearly occupying the PvP niche, whereas you have Dr. Octopus and Black Panther and maybe a little bit of Moon Knight occupying like an ABX, ABL niche. And then you have Namor and Venom occupying more of a world boss niche. And so you actually have a lot here. And certainly you can make arguments for characters bleeding over into one place or another a little bit. But characters are clearly being built more specifically and less broadly. And that's actually really nice. It's tough for players, of course, who don't have a lot of crystals to spend and want to get a lot of bang for their buck, and they have to be more careful and maybe wait a little bit longer for these reviews. But it really shows how carefully the devs are considering this. You know, even take, for example, 2 characters here, both Spider-Verse characters, right? Both with identical artifacts. You're like, uh-oh, there's going to be way too much overlap. These characters are going to be so similar. Nope, not even close. Despite being good in PvE, Spider-Man is clearly built for PvP, and Miles Morales, unlike Ant-Man, is just so absurdly strong for PvE, so easy to play, so fun to play. His value is just tremendous. So I really think the tier 4 balancing this year has been excellent. I don't necessarily agree with the tier 4 speed, especially compared to the existing tier 2s. But that's another topic for another video. But I do think the devs have done a great job balancing the vast majority of tier 4s with the existing tier 4 characters in mind. Kicking off the top 3, we have the brand new PvP game mode introduced this year, Otherworld Battle. And despite my gripes and issues and legitimate criticisms of the content, the actual gameplay mechanic, I cannot deny the rewards. The rewards for this game mode, they nailed from the beginning with the opportunity to get Odin's Blessings or CTPs, and also tier 4 materials and other things. So you have a wide flexibility, a wide range of rewards. You're not stuck choosing one reward over and over again. These rewards obviously make the other rewards that you get monthly or bi-monthly or whatever pale in comparison. But it's really nice that players have agency over what they're using their tokens, their mementos on. And I also like the fact that for the first time ever, we see a game mode that features more than 5 characters on the roster for balancing purposes. I really like this. I think that the battlefield effects and other things, certainly need to be taken in a stronger direction and need to be more restrictive. But I certainly think the devs have been open, at least to an extent, to criticisms, and the debuff character list certainly reflects that. So I do have a lot of promise and a lot of hope and optimism for this game mode in the future. I think it has a really good foundation. I think the devs just need to pour a little bit more love into it, need to encourage players to be more funky and more unique with teams, and then we'll really see this game mode shine for its true value. It was so close, and it almost took the top spot, but coming in at number 2, we have the changes to Shadowland. Most noticeably, the addition of Autoplay Plus for all players, regardless of whether you spend money on the game or not, which is awesome for ease of use and quality of life. Allows you to just Netflix and MFF the whole week worth of Shadowland. And then, of course, the addition of Shadowland tokens, which you can now exchange for in a Shadowland shop, which for most players means extra tier 4 materials or a CTP. And for me, it means more suffering by opening Shadowland chests. Sure, Shadowland isn't perfect by any means, and they certainly could and should add more new stages and things like this. But I certainly think Shadowland is in a much better place now. And at the very least, it won't be a headache for players who just want to make the value of their, extract the value of their roster without a painstaking, 8-hour gameplay fest. Because now you can auto from 15 to 25, and then you can soft auto stage by stage all the way up to wherever you want. So I think that's fantastic. And so the number 1 spot goes to ABX ABL. Not only has it upended the meta in terms of value for characters, but these new rewards have certainly asked the question, how good are you at the game? And when it comes to this game mode, it's revealed that a lot of us have a lot of practicing to do. Now, these rewards in some part are being inflated by just how insanely rare the tokens are to get, and we'll have to keep an eye on how the devs approach these token supply chests when they add new tokens. So there is still a bit of a question mark, and so this game mode being ranked number 1 actually has the highest likelihood or the highest chance of dropping in value in the future, depending on whether the devs update these chests or not. But I do have high hopes for it, and I think especially in the past few years, the devs have really made an effort to continuously improve ABX and ABL after they made a revamp to the game mode and they introduced Legend mode last year with the Hulk update. Since then, they have, consistently tracked scores of top players to make sure that they keep bumping up the score cap, so we don't have a bunch of first place players who feel robbed because they're, not getting what they deserve effort-wise, but then also adding to the rewards step by step so that you get a lot more. Not to mention the weekly rewards. Even if you're not a very aggressively competitive player, just by logging in, you're now getting materials to allow you to transcend characters. These used to be bio selectors. So these rewards have absolutely come a long way. They could still be better for sure, but that's the case with everything. The restrictions could see a shakeup every now and then, but I think that's something to be on like a 4-month to 1-year schedule, not to be done, week by week or month by month, because it would just be too expensive for players to keep up and swap CTPs and the like. But I still think, this has grown from a game mode that we memed on years ago to now one of the most important game modes in Marvel Future Fight. And that's a huge upgrade to happen in such a short time. So kudos to the devs for that. Hopefully next year we'll have way more bangers so that this list is 10 times harder to make than it was this year. It was already hard enough though. Hit me up in the comments down below. What are your thoughts on the top 10 bangers for 2023? Did I miss any? Did I overstate some? Let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching. Smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.